Have you ever wondered what you would risk to save a stranger's child? Min-jae didn't have time to wonder. The steel pipe was aimed directly at his skull. He threw himself sideways, arms wrapped around a screaming 5-year-old he'd never met. His shoulder hit concrete. The pipe rang against brick, inches from impact. The night market reeked of burnt oil and rain. Tires screeched, men shouted. The child's fingers dug into his jacket, small body convulsing with terror. "Stay down," Min-jae whispered. "I've got you." The man raised the pipe again. Then headlights flooded the alley. A black SUV skidded to a stop. Doors opened. Footsteps echoed on wet pavement. A woman emerged from the vehicle, tall, dark-skinned, wearing a suit that could purchase his entire year's rent. Her eyes swept the scene with lethal precision. She raised one hand. Every armed man froze mid-motion. Min-jae looked up at her, blood trickling from his temple, still shielding the boy. The woman's gaze locked on his. Something flickered in those dark eyes, surprise maybe, or respect. Then she spoke, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Drop your weapons and leave, now." They scattered like shadows at dawn. The woman walked toward Min-jae slowly, her heels clicking against pavement. "You just saved the blood of the Mafia queen," she said quietly. "That means you belong to me from now on." 12 hours earlier, Park Min-jae had been nobody special. He woke at 4 in the morning in a cramped one-room apartment on Houston's East Side. Paper-thin walls carried Mrs. Rodriguez's television murmur. The radiator clanked its usual morning protest. His mother slept on the pull-out couch, her breathing shallow and uneven. Min-jae watched her chest rise and fall, counting the seconds between breaths like he did every morning. Still breathing, still here. He checked her medication organizer. 2 pills from yesterday remained. "Mom," he whispered, touching her shoulder gently. She stirred, her eyes opened, tired but warm. "Morning, sweetheart," she murmured. "Take your medicine. Water's right here." She nodded. He waited until she swallowed both pills before pulling on his delivery jacket, faded red with a peeling logo. His phone buzzed. 8 orders queued already. The algorithm never slept. "I'll be back tonight," he said. "There's soup in the fridge." His mother caught his hand. Her grip was weak but insistent. "You work too hard, Min-jae." "I work enough." He kissed her forehead. "Rest, Mom." The city at dawn felt honest in ways it never did during daylight hours. Min-jae liked the empty streets, the way his scooter's engine provided the only soundtrack. He delivered to office buildings where janitors mopped in silence, to hospital night shifts where nurses looked as exhausted as he felt. He smiled at everyone, said thank you even when they didn't respond. His mother had taught him that kindness costs nothing but means everything. By 9 in the evening, his legs ached. His phone showed $143 earned. The hospital bill this month was $340. Not enough, never enough. He accepted one more delivery. The drop-off was near the night market, a neighborhood where street lights flickered and people walked quickly with downcast eyes. Min-jae didn't like it, but money was money. He parked his scooter 2 blocks away and walked. That's when he heard the scream. A child, not a tantrum, pure terror. Min-jae's body moved before his brain caught up. His mother's voice echoed in his head. "Do the right thing, even when it's hard." He ran toward the sound. The alley was dark. A small boy, maybe 5 years old, brown-skinned with wild curls, was being dragged toward a van by two men in black tactical gear. The child clawed at the ground, screaming, "Stop!" Min-jae shouted. They didn't, so he threw himself between them and the boy. The first punch caught him in the ribs. White light exploded behind his eyes. The man was twice his size, built like iron. Min-jae didn't fight back. He just wrapped his arms around the child and tucked his head. "Let go or you're dead," the man snarled. "No," Min-jae gasped. The steel pipe appeared, and that's when everything changed. The armed men scattered the moment she appeared. Min-jae stayed on the ground, arms still wrapped around the sobbing child, trying to process what just happened. The woman from the SUV walked toward them with deliberate slowness. Her heels clicked against wet pavement, the only sound in the suddenly silent alley. She wore a black suit with a silk shirt underneath, her hair pulled back severely. Her face held the kind of beauty that came with sharp edges and sharper intelligence. She stopped 3 feet away and crouched down. "Kian," she whispered, her voice transforming into something tender. "Baby, come here." The child's head turned. His eyes, wide and terrified, found her face. He whimpered and reached out. The woman gathered him into her arms. For one brief moment, Min-jae watched her mask slip completely. She held the boy like he was her entire universe, her body curving protectively around him. "You're safe," she murmured against his hair. "Mommy's here." Then she looked at Min-jae. The softness vanished. Her eyes became calculating, studying him like a puzzle requiring solution. "You saved him," she stated. Min-jae nodded, still catching his breath. Blood dripped from his temple. "Do you know who he is?" "A kid who needed help." Something flickered across her face. Surprise, perhaps, or respect. "And do you know who I am?" Min-jae shook his head. She stood slowly, still holding Kian against her shoulder. "Zaria Coleman. They call me the Mafia Queen of Houston." The words took a moment to land. Min-jae had heard whispers, stories told in convenience stores and late-night diners about the Coleman Empire. Deals made in shadows, people who crossed invisible lines and disappeared. He'd thought they were urban legends. He looked at her again, the tailored suit, the way grown men had fled at her gesture, the weapon holstered at her hip. Reality crashed down. "You just saved the blood of the Mafia Queen," Zaria said evenly. "That means you belong to me from now on." Min-jae's chest tightened. "I don't belong to anyone. I only did the right thing." "I know." Her expression remained neutral. "That's exactly why you're in danger now. The men who wanted him dead saw your face. They know you interfered. In my world, that earns a death sentence. I'll take my chances. You won't survive them. Then I'll leave the city. They'll follow." She shifted Kian to her other hip. "The only way you stay alive is under my protection." Kian lifted his head from her shoulder. His face was tear-streaked, but his eyes were clear as they focused on Min-jae. "Thank you," the boy whispered. "You're very brave." Something in Min-jae's chest cracked open. "You're welcome," he said softly. Zaria's gaze sharpened. She studied Min-jae with a new intensity, like she was seeing something unexpected. "What's your name?" "Park Min-jae." "Well, Min-jae." She turned toward the SUV. "Go home, pack a bag. My people will come for you in 1 hour. Don't run. Don't hide. Don't tell anyone what happened here. And if I refuse," she paused at the car door, "then you'll be dead by morning. Your choice." The door closed. The engine purred. The SUV glided into the night. Min-jae stood alone in the alley, bleeding and confused, his entire world tilted sideways. Min-jae went home in a daze. His mother was awake, sitting at the small table with tea. Her hands trembled slightly as she lifted the cup, a medication side effect. She looked up when he entered, and worry creased her face immediately. "Min-jae, what happened to you?" she asked. He touched his temple, felt dried blood. "I helped someone, Mom. It's nothing." "That's not nothing." She stood slowly, joints stiff. "Sit down. Let me clean it." She fetched their first aid kit, kept well stocked because emergency room visits weren't affordable. Her hands were gentle as she cleaned his cuts, applied antiseptic, secured bandages. Min-jae watched her face, memorizing the worried crease between her eyebrows. "You're too kind for this world," she said finally. "It will break you." "You taught me to be kind." "I was wrong," her voice cracked. "I should have taught you to protect yourself first." "No, Mom." Min-jae took her hand. "You taught me right. The world just needs more people willing to do right things." A knock at the door froze them both. Min-jae checked the peephole. 2 men in black suits stood outside. Professional, dangerous. One held a phone, displaying a photograph. His photograph. "Mom, I need you to trust me," Min-jae said quietly. Her eyes widened. "Who are they?" "People who want to protect me." "From what?" Another knock, more insistent. Min-jae opened the door. The taller man nodded once. "Mr. Park, Miss Coleman is waiting." "I haven't decided anything." "Yes, you have." The man held out an envelope. "This is for your mother. 3 months of medical expenses paid in advance." Min-jae's hands shook as he opened it. Inside was a cashier's check for $12,000. His mother gasped behind him. "This is too much," Min-jae said. "I can't accept this." "It's not charity," the man replied calmly. "It's protection. Miss Coleman safeguards what belongs to her. You became hers the moment you saved her son." "I'm not property." "No, you're someone who did something good and now faces consequences for it." "Are you really going to let pride get you killed and leave your mother alone?" The words hit like a physical blow. Min-jae looked back at his mother. She was crying silently, thin shoulders shaking. "Go," she whispered. "If they can keep you safe, go, please." "Mom, I'll be fine. This money will keep me alive. Now let them keep you alive." Min-jae's throat burned. He kissed his mother's forehead, grabbed his backpack, and followed the men downstairs. The black SUV waited at the curb. Same one from the alley. Zarya sat in the back seat, Kian asleep against her side. She didn't look up when Min-jae climbed in. "I didn't want your money," he said as the car pulled away. "I know." She stroked Kian's hair absently. "But your mother needs it. You would have spent hours arguing about pride and independence. I simplified matters. You manipulated me. I protected you. There's a difference." Min-jae watched his apartment building disappear in the side mirror. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere safe." "For how long?" "As long as necessary." The drive took 40 minutes. They left the city behind, heading into areas where houses had gates instead of neighbors. The SUV finally turned onto a private road, stopped at an iron gate where armed guards waved them through. The Coleman mansion sat on a hill like a fortress. Min-jae had never seen a house this large. All glass and steel, modern and imposing. Security cameras at every corner. Men with earpieces patrolling the grounds. "Welcome," Zarya said dryly. "This isn't my home." It is until I say otherwise. She carried Kian inside. The boy stirred but didn't wake. A tall man appeared from the shadows, dark-skinned, silent, his eyes missing nothing. Malik, Zaria said. This is Park Min-jae. Show him to the East Wing guest room. Yes, boss. Min-jae followed Malik through a foyer with marble floors and expensive art. Up a staircase, down a hallway. Malik stopped at a door and opened it. The guest room was 3 times the size of Min-jae's apartment. King bed, private bathroom, windows overlooking manicured gardens. Beautiful and suffocating simultaneously. Miss Coleman will call for you when she's ready, Malik said. Don't leave the grounds, don't use your phone, don't contact anyone. Am I a guest or a prisoner? You're alive. Miss Coleman suggests you focus on that. Malik's expression remained neutral. Breakfast is at 7. Don't be late. Then he left. Min-jae sat on the too-soft bed and put his head in his hands. Somewhere in the mansion, a clock chimed midnight. His old life was gone. But through the walls he heard it, a child's laugh. Kian, happy and safe. This is why, Min-jae thought. This is what matters. He lay back and stared at the ceiling until exhaustion claimed him. What would you risk to protect someone you barely know? Drop a comment below and hit subscribe. This story is just beginning, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Morning arrived with sunlight and the sound of a child laughing. Min-jae followed the noise downstairs, his body still aching from yesterday. The kitchen was enormous, marble countertops and stainless steel appliances. Kian sat at the island, swinging his legs and eating cereal, curls bouncing with each movement. Zaria stood nearby in workout clothes, drinking coffee and scrolling through her phone. She looked younger in daylight, less guarded. Then she glanced up and the mask returned. Sleep well? She asked. Not particularly. Understandable? She gestured to the coffee pot. Help yourself. Kian's head swiveled toward Min-jae. His whole face lit up. You're the hero man, he exclaimed, milk dripping from his spoon. Min-jae couldn't help but smile. I'm just Min-jae. That's a cool name. I'm Kian. He held out a sticky hand. Min-jae shook it solemnly. Nice to officially meet you, Kian. Do you like robots? Sure. Good. Come see my room. I have 17 robots, and they all have names. He grabbed Min-jae's hand and pulled. Min-jae looked at Zaria helplessly. She raised an eyebrow over her coffee cup. You saved him. Now you're his favorite person. Good luck. Kian dragged Min-jae upstairs, chattering nonstop. His room was an explosion of toys, robots, race cars, stuffed animals, art supplies scattered everywhere. The boy showed Min-jae each toy with intense seriousness, explaining backstories with documentary-level conviction. Min-jae sat on the floor and listened. After 20 minutes, Kian climbed into his lap without warning. Can you fix this one? He held up a robot with a broken arm. I can try. Mommy says you're very brave. She said you didn't have to help me, but you did anyway. Min-jae's chest tightened. Anyone would have done the same. No. The boy's voice was fierce. Heroes are people who help even when it's scary. You were scared, but you helped me anyway. Min-jae didn't know what to say, so he just hugged the child and looked around for tools. He found a paperclip in a desk drawer, some tape. He worked carefully, securing the joint. The arm moved again. You fixed him. Kian's joy was infectious. Mac's robot is all better. When Min-jae looked up, Zaria was standing in the doorway. She was watching them with an expression he couldn't quite read, something soft and painful simultaneously. "He likes you," she said quietly. "He's easy to like." "Not usually." Zaria stepped into the room. "Kian doesn't trust people easily, but with you, he's different." "Maybe because I don't have ulterior motives." The corner of her mouth twitched. "Maybe." Kian held up the robot triumphantly. "Mommy, look! He fixed Mac's robot." "I see that, baby." Zaria crouched down and kissed his forehead. "That's wonderful. Why don't you play for a bit? I need to talk to Min-jae." Kian pouted but obeyed. Zaria led Min-jae to a study down the hall. She closed the door and leaned against the desk. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For making my son smile. He hasn't been this happy in weeks." Min-jae shifted uncomfortably. "I just treated him like a person." "Exactly." Her voice softened. "Most people in my world see him as leverage or weakness, something to exploit or guard, but never just love. You see him as a child who deserves kindness." "Because that's what he is." Zaria studied him with those dark, calculating eyes. "You really don't understand who I am, do you?" "You run an empire built on fear," Min-jae said bluntly. "And somehow you have a 5-year-old son who needs someone to fix his robots. So no, I don't understand you at all." For a moment, he thought she'd be angry. Instead, she laughed, short, surprised, almost genuine. "Fair enough," she said. Over the next 3 days, a routine emerged. Min-jae woke early, checked his phone for updates about his mother. Zaria's people sent daily reports. His mother was well, using the money for medication and proper food, resting. Breakfast with Kian became his favorite part of each day. The boy would climb into his lap and tell elaborate stories about his toys. Min-jae would listen, ask questions, make appropriate impressed sounds. Zaria would watch from across the kitchen, coffee in hand, expression unreadable. Afternoons were spent in the garden. Min-jae taught Kian to fold origami cranes, using old newspapers Malik found in recycling. The boy's tongue would stick out in concentration as he tried to make the wings symmetrical. "Like this?" Kian would ask repeatedly. "You're getting better every time," Min-jae would encourage. Sometimes Zaria would join them, sitting on a bench with her laptop, pretending to work but actually watching. Min-jae could feel her gaze like a physical weight. He was starting to see the cracks in her armor, the way she softened when Kian laughed, the tension in her shoulders during certain phone calls, the exhaustion in her eyes when she thought no one was looking. She wasn't just a crime boss, she was a mother, and she was very tired. On the 3rd day, as Kian napped, Zaria found Min-jae in the garden. "Walk with me," she said. It wasn't a request. They walked the property perimeter in silence. The grounds were massive, 10 acres of manicured lawn, tennis court, pool that belonged in a resort. "Why did you do it?" Zaria asked suddenly. "Do what?" "Save Kian. You didn't know him. You didn't know me. You could have walked away." Min-jae thought about it. "My mother taught me that we're responsible for each other. When someone needs help, you help. It should be that simple." "Nothing is that simple." "It should be." Zaria stopped walking. She turned to face him, and for the first time, he saw real vulnerability in her eyes. "You're complicating things," she said. "How so?" "You're reminding me that good people exist, that not everything requires calculation or force." She shook her head. "You're proof that kindness still matters." "You're a good person too," She laughed bitterly. No, I've done terrible things, Min-jae. Things that would horrify you. Then why tell me? Because I need you to understand what this world is. It's dark, violent. There are rules and consequences written in blood. And you, she gestured at him helplessly. You're everything I stopped believing in years ago. I'm just a delivery driver. No. Her voice was fierce. You're proof that not everyone is broken. Kian's voice drifted from the house. Min-jae, where are you? The spell broke. Zarya stepped back. He needs you. She walked back toward the house, shoulders straight and rigid. Min-jae followed, his heart pounding with something he couldn't quite name. Something was building between them. Something neither could control. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon. Min-jae was teaching Kian origami in the garden. They'd graduated from cranes to butterflies. The spring sun was warm. Kian's small face scrunched in concentration, his fingers fumbling with paper folds. Am I doing it right? He asked for the 10th time. You're getting so good at this, Min-jae encouraged. Then glass shattered. Min-jae's body reacted on pure instinct. He grabbed Kian and rolled behind a stone bench, covering the boy completely with his torso. Kian screamed. Footsteps pounded across the lawn. A man in black tactical gear appeared, weapon raised, face covered. Found the boy, he said into a radio. Min-jae's heart hammered. He held Kian tighter, tried to make his body a complete shield. This is it. This is how I die. The gunshot cracked like thunder. The man dropped. Min-jae looked up. Zarya stood 30 feet away, weapon steady in both hands. Her face was carved from stone, no fear, no hesitation. She fired twice more into the air, a signal. Within seconds, Malik and 6 others materialized, surrounding them in a protective circle. Sweep the perimeter, Zarya ordered, her voice ice-cold. 2 minutes. They moved like shadows. Zarya walked forward, weapons still raised, eyes scanning every angle. When she reached the bench, she holstered it and knelt. Her hands were shaking, just barely, as she reached for Kian. Are you hurt? Her voice cracked. Baby, look at me. Are you hurt? Kian was sobbing into Min-jae's shoulder, whole body trembling. He's okay, Min-jae said. Just scared. And you? I'm fine. Zarya's eyes met his. For one moment, the mask fell completely. She looked terrified, lost, human. Then she did something unexpected. She wrapped one arm around both of them, Min-jae and Kian together, and held on like they were the only solid things in her world. Thank you, she whispered against Min-jae's shoulder. Thank you for protecting him again. Kian's arms went around both their necks, creating a tangle of 3 people holding each other in the aftermath of violence. All clear, boss, Malik called from across the lawn. Zarya pulled back slowly. She lifted Kian into her arms, but her hand lingered on Min-jae's shoulder. You didn't hesitate, she said quietly. Glass was flying, there was a shooter, and you just moved to shield him. Of course I did. Most people wouldn't. Then most people need to be better. She stared at him. You're making this difficult for me, she whispered. The words were barely audible. Making what difficult? Keeping my distance, staying in control. Her eyes held his. You're showing me what I've been missing. Their gazes held for one suspended moment. Then Malik cleared his throat. Boss, we need to get them inside, now. The spell broke. Zarya stood, pulling Kian close. But she looked back at Min-jae once as Malik helped him to his feet. Her expression was unguarded, vulnerable. Something had shifted between them. Something inevitable and terrifying and beautiful. That night, Min-jae couldn't sleep. The adrenaline from the attack had faded, leaving exhaustion and confusion. He wandered the mansion's halls, restless. His shoulder throbbed where he'd hit the stone bench. He found himself near Zaria's office. The door was slightly open, a slice of light spilling into darkness. He should leave, go back to his room, mind his own business. He didn't. Inside, the desk was covered in files, papers, photographs. Min-jae's eyes caught on one, a picture of Kian, much younger, maybe 2 years old. He was filthy, crying, being carried by a woman in a police uniform. Something cold twisted in Min-jae's stomach. He stepped closer. The file beneath the photo had a red stamp. Confidential. Case number 4 sa devenuma 1. Min-jae picked it up with shaking hands. Human trafficking ring. Operation Broken Chains. Status closed. 12 minors recovered. He read faster. Kian had been found 3 years ago in a raid on a trafficking operation. One of 12 children rescued. Most had been returned to families. Some had gone into foster care. Kian had no family, no birth certificate, no one to claim him, so Zaria had taken him. But according to these documents, she'd lied, told everyone he was her biological son, forged birth certificates, created an entire false history. Because in the Coleman Empire, leadership passed through blood. If they discovered Kian wasn't really hers, you shouldn't be reading that. Min-jae spun around. Zaria stood in the doorway, still dressed. Her face was unreadable. I'm sorry, Min-jae said quickly. I didn't mean to. Yes, you did. She walked forward and took the file from his hands. But now you know. Why didn't you tell me? Because if the wrong people find out, Kian dies. Min-jae's chest tightened. What do you mean? Zaria set the file down carefully. The Coleman Empire has rules. Old rules written in blood. Leadership must pass through bloodline. If the council discovers Kian isn't my biological son, they'll see him as fraud, a liability. They'll eliminate him to protect the Empire's integrity. That's insane. That's the Mafia. She looked at him. So I lied. I told everyone I gave birth in secret during a year I spent abroad. I forged documents, paid off doctors. I've spent 3 years ensuring no one questions it. And if they do, then I'll destroy anyone who threatens him. The words were matter-of-fact, chilling. Min-jae understood then. This wasn't about power or legacy. This was about a woman who'd found a broken child and decided to remake her entire life to keep him safe. Why tell me this? He asked. Because you already figured it out, and because, she hesitated, because you protect him the same way I do. I see it. The way you hold him, the way you put yourself between him and danger without thinking. You don't ask where he came from. You just love him. He's a child, Min-jae said softly. That's all I need to know. Zaria's mask cracked. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. I love him like a mother loves him, Min-jae continued. Nothing else matters. The exact words seemed to break something in her. Zaria's breath shuddered out. She turned away quickly, but not before Min-jae saw a tear slip down her cheek. You shouldn't be here, she whispered. In this world, in this house. But I am. I wish you weren't. Why? Because you make me want impossible things. The room felt too small, too warm. Min-jae could hear his own heartbeat. I won't tell anyone about Kian, he said. I promise. Zarya's eyes snapped back to his. Why should I trust you? Because 3 days ago, I threw myself in front of a stranger's child, and I'd do it again, every time, without hesitation. For a long moment, she just stared at him. Then, slowly, she nodded. Okay, I trust you. The words sounded like they hurt. Heaven help me, I actually trust you. The news broke 2 days later. Min-jae was reading to Kian when Malik burst into the room. Boss needs you, now. Min-jae's stomach dropped. He followed Malik downstairs. Zarya stood in the living room, staring at her phone. Her face was pale, angry. What happened? Min-jae asked. She turned the phone toward him. On the screen was a photo, Min-jae holding Kian in the garden, both of them laughing. The headline read, Coleman Queen's new lover, identity and scandal revealed. Oh no, Min-jae breathed. It gets worse. Zarya's voice was tight. They're saying you know the Empire's secrets, that I've compromised everything for a man I barely know. The council is calling an emergency meeting. What does that mean? Malik answered. It means they're going to demand his death. The room tilted. What? Min-jae stammered. Zarya's jaw clenched. They think you're a threat, that I've become weak because of you. They'll vote to have you eliminated to protect the Empire. Then I'll leave, right now. I'll disappear. It won't matter. Her voice broke. They've already decided. The only way you survive is if I kill you myself to prove my loyalty. Min-jae's blood ran cold. You can't do that, he said. I know. So what do we do? Zarya looked at him, really looked, and for the first time she seemed lost. I don't know. The council meeting was in 2 hours. Min-jae sat in the guest room, his mind racing. He could hear Kian playing down the hall, oblivious. The boy had drawn him a picture that morning. 3 stick figures holding hands. My family, Kian had said proudly. Min-jae's chest ached. He couldn't let Kian lose another person. He couldn't let Zarya choose between her son and him. So he made a choice. He packed his bag, wrote a note, left it on the bed. Keep Kian safe. Don't choose me. You've already given me more than I deserve. Thank you for trusting me. I'm sorry I couldn't stay. Min-jae. Then he slipped out through the garden. He made it to the highway before they found him. Min-jae walked along the shoulder, headlights blurring past. His phone was off. He had $200 in cash and no plan beyond get far away. Then a car screeched to a stop behind him. He turned. Zarya stood beside the black SUV, hair whipping in the wind. Her eyes were wild. What are you doing? She shouted. Leaving. Like hell you are. She marched forward. You think you can just walk away? I have to. If I stay, they'll kill me, or make you kill me. Either way, Kian loses someone. I won't let that happen. So you'll just disappear? Her voice cracked. You'll let me wonder if you're alive? It's better than the alternative. No, it's not. She grabbed his jacket. You think I can just let you go? After everything? You don't have a choice. There's always a choice. Min-jae's throat burned. Then choose Kian. Choose your empire. Choose everything that matters. I'm just some guy who got in the way. You are not just some guy, Zarya's voice broke. You saved my son. You made him smile. You made me feel like maybe I'm not as broken as I thought. You made me want to be better, and now you're leaving, and I... She stopped. Her hands shook. I can't lose you, she whispered. Min-jae stared at her. Zarya, I can't. Then headlights appeared on the road ahead. 10 vehicles. all black. Min-jae's heart stopped. They found us, Zarya said quietly. The cars surrounded them. Men stepped out, armed, silent, watching. One of them spoke into a radio. Target acquired, awaiting orders. Zarya stepped in front of Min-jae. Stand down, she ordered. Boss, the council. I said stand down. The man hesitated. With respect, ma'am, the council gave explicit orders. Zarya pulled her gun and fired into the sky. The sound echoed across the empty highway. Everyone froze. I am Zarya Coleman, she said, her voice ringing with authority. I am the queen of this empire, and I'm telling you right now, whoever touches this man betrays me. The men exchanged glances. Boss, leave now, or I'll consider you enemies. One by one, the men lowered their weapons, got back in their cars, drove away. Silence. Min-jae couldn't breathe. Zarya lowered her gun. Her hands were shaking. She turned to him, and for the first time, tears streaked her face. Why did you leave? She asked, her voice breaking. Because I didn't want you to choose, Min-jae said. Because I can't lose anyone else either. She closed the distance between them. Her hand found his. Then don't leave me, she whispered. They drove back to the mansion in silence. When they arrived, the council was waiting. 12 men and women in expensive suits, old guard, loyalists, the ones who'd built the empire on blood and fear. Zarya walked in, with Min-jae beside her. Malik followed. Miss Coleman, the eldest counselor said, we've been waiting. I know. Zarya's voice was ice. Let's get this over with. You understand why we called this meeting. You want me to kill an innocent man to prove I'm still strong enough to lead. We want you to eliminate a threat. He's not a threat. He knows about the child. The counselor's eyes were cold. He knows things that could destroy us. He's kept every secret I've given him. For now. Zarya's jaw tightened. You don't trust my judgment. We trust your strength, Miss Coleman, but we question your recent, emotional decisions. Min-jae felt every eye on him. So that's it, Zarya said softly. You think love makes me weak, doesn't it? The room went still. Zarya looked at Min-jae. Her expression was unreadable. Then she turned back to the council. You're right, she said. I care about him more than I should, more than is smart, and yes, that makes me vulnerable. Min-jae's heart sank. But it also makes me human, Zarya continued. And for 3 years, I've led this empire with nothing but fear and control. I've made us powerful, rich, untouchable, and I've been miserable every single day. The counselors shifted uncomfortably. This man saved my son without asking for anything in return, Zarya said. He's protected Kian like his own. He's shown me that strength doesn't have to mean cruelty, that power doesn't require loneliness. Sentiment is dangerous. Sentiment is what separates us from animals. Her voice cracked like a whip. I'm tired of being a monster. I'm tired of killing people who don't deserve it. I'm tired of ruling through fear. Then you're not fit to lead. Zarya smiled, cold and dangerous. Try to take it from me. The room erupted. Half the council stood, shouting. Malik's hand moved to his weapon. Min-jae stepped back instinctively. Zarya pulled her gun and set it on the table. Whoever wants my position, she said quietly, take it. But know this, if you come for me, you come for him. And if you come for him, you come for my son. And I will burn this entire empire to the ground before I let anyone hurt them. The silence was deafening. One counselor stood. You've gone soft, Zarya. Maybe she didn't flinch. Or maybe I've just remembered what I'm fighting for. The man walked out. 3 others followed. The rest stayed. Zarya looked at each of them. Anyone else? No one moved. Good. She picked up her gun. Meeting adjourned. And from now on, we don't kill innocent people. We don't traffic in children. We don't operate on fear alone. This empire will be different, or I'll tear it down myself. She turned and walked out, Minjai beside her. Behind them, Malik whispered, "That was inspirational, boss." Zarya didn't respond, but Minjai saw it, the faintest tremble in her hands. The retaliation came within 48 hours. The Raven Syndicate, Coleman Empire's oldest rival, saw the council fracture as weakness. They struck at supply lines first, then at safe houses, then at people. Malik came to Zarya's office with blood on his sleeve. 3 of our own are dead, he said quietly. They're testing you, boss, seeing if you'll fold. Zarya stood at the window, watching Kian and Minjai play soccer in the garden. The boys' laughter drifted through the glass. "I won't," she said. "They think you will. Word's out that you've gone soft, that the Korean boy has made you weak. They're betting you won't fight back." "Then they're wrong." She turned. Her eyes were steel again. "Call everyone, every loyalist, every soldier who stayed. I want them here by tonight. Boss, we're ending this. Now." By evening, the mansion's main hall was full. Men and women who'd fought for the Coleman name, who'd bled for it, who'd killed for it. They stood in rows, watching Zarya take the stage. Min Jae watched from the doorway, with Kian pressed against his side. The boy was scared. He could feel it in the way Kian's small hand gripped his. "It's okay," Min Jae whispered. "Your mom's got this." Zarya's voice rang out clear and strong. "For 3 years, I've led this empire the way I was taught," she said, "with violence, with fear, with absolute control. And it worked. We became the most powerful organization in this city." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. "But it came at a cost," Zarya continued. "We lost our humanity. We became machines. We stopped asking why and only focused on how. We stopped protecting people and started exploiting them." The murmurs quieted. "I'm done with that," Zarya said. "I'm done pretending that cruelty is strength, that isolation is safety, that power means being alone." She gestured toward Minjai and Kian. "That man saved my son without knowing who I was. He didn't ask for money. He didn't ask for protection. He just did what was right. And in doing so, he reminded me of something I'd forgotten. We don't have to be monsters to survive." Someone in the back shouted, "The syndicate doesn't care about your feelings. They want us dead." "I know," Zarya said calmly. "And we're going to hit them so hard they'll never recover. But we're going to do it my way. No civilians, no kids, no unnecessary bloodshed. We fight smart, we fight clean, and we win. And if we lose," another voice called. Zarya smiled, sharp and dangerous. "We won't." The plan was simple and brutal. The syndicate operated from 3 locations: a warehouse, a nightclub, and a shipping yard. Zarya sent teams to all 3 simultaneously. Not to kill, not to destroy, to expose. Malik's team planted evidence of the syndicate's trafficking operations where the FBI would find it. Another team leaked financial records to the IRS. A third recorded conversations between syndicate leaders discussing bribes to city officials. Within 6 hours, the syndicate was drowning in federal investigations. Within 12, their leadership was arrested. Within 24, the organization collapsed. No shots fired, no bodies, just precision and intelligence. Zarya stood in the mansion's study, watching the news reports roll in. Min-jae knocked softly. "Is it over?" "For now." "And your empire?" She turned. Still standing, different, but standing. He stepped into the room. "You didn't have to do it that way. You could have just killed them." "I know, but you were right. Strength doesn't have to mean cruelty." "I didn't say that." "Yes, you did. Every time you held my son. Every time you chose kindness over survival. You said it without words." Min-jae's throat tightened. "You're just good," Zarya said softly. "And I'm trying to learn from you." She crossed the room until she stood inches from him. "The council voted today," she said. "Officially, unanimously. You're under Coleman protection. No one touches you, ever." "What does that mean?" "It means you're free to leave, if you want." Min-jae's heart stuttered. "Do you want me to leave?" Zarya's mask finally cracked. Her eyes shimmered. "No," she whispered. "I want you to stay. I want Kian to have you in his life. I want—" She stopped, looked away. "What?" Min-jae asked gently. "I want you," she said, the words barely audible. "I want someone who sees me, not the queen, not the boss, just me. And that terrifies me because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be vulnerable. I don't know how to love without destroying things." Min-jae reached for her hand. "Then we'll figure it out together," he said, Zarya's fingers laced with his. "You make it sound easy." "It's not, but it's worth it." She looked at him, really looked, and something broke open in her chest. "I don't deserve you," she whispered. "Maybe not, but you've got me anyway." Her laugh was shaky, wet. "Motivational speeches from a delivery driver," she said. "Who would have thought?" "Former delivery driver," Min-jae corrected. "I'm thinking of a career change." "Oh? Yeah, maybe something involving a very stubborn woman and her very adorable son." Zarya's smile was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. "I think that can be arranged," she said. 3 months later. The mansion felt different now, warmer, more lived in. Kian's drawings covered the refrigerator. Min-jae's book sat on the coffee table. The garden had a new swing set that Malik had installed while grumbling about going soft. Min-jae stood in the kitchen, attempting to make Korean pancakes. His mother had sent him the recipe, along with a care package and a note that said, "Take care of them. They need you." Kian sat at the counter, watching with intense focus. "Can I flip it?" the boy asked. "Not yet. Wait until the bubbles pop." "Like this?" "Exactly like that." Zarya walked in, still in her suit from a meeting. She'd been working with city officials to reform parts of the empire, shifting from illegal operations to legitimate businesses. It was slow, messy, but it was working. She kissed Kian's head, then, hesitantly, kissed Min-jae's cheek. He still wasn't used to it, the casual affection, the domesticity, but he loved it. "How was the meeting?" he asked. "Productive. We're opening a youth center next month. Job training, after-school programs." Kian helped pick the logo. "I drew a rocket," Kian announced proudly. "It's perfect," Min-jae said seriously. Zarya leaned against the counter. "My mother would have hated this." "Hated what?" "All of it. The softness, the reform, the—" She gestured between them. "Romance." Min-jae flipped a pancake. "Good thing you're not your mother." "No, I'm not," she smiled. I'm trying to be better. You already are. Kian tugged on Zarya's sleeve. Mommy, can Minjae stay forever? Zarya's breath caught. She looked at Minjae. He set down the spatula and knelt in front of Kian. Do you want me to stay? He asked. Kian nodded fiercely. You're my family. Minjae's eyes burned. Then I'll stay, if your mom wants me to. The boy turned to Zarya. Do you, Mommy? Zarya's mask was gone. Her eyes were wet. Yes, she whispered. I want him to stay. Kian cheered and threw his arms around both of them. Minjae looked up at Zarya over the boy's head. Are you sure? His eyes asked. I've never been more sure, hers answered. That night, after Kian was asleep, they stood on the rooftop. The city sprawled below them, lights and noise and endless movement. Minjae had spent his whole life down there, invisible and struggling. Now he stood above it, next to a woman who'd reshaped her world to make room for him. I still don't fit in your world, he said quietly. Zarya moved closer. Then I'll keep changing my world until you do. That's not how it works. Why not? Because you shouldn't have to change who you are. I'm not changing who I am, Zarya interrupted. I'm becoming who I should have been all along, and you helped me see that. Minjae turned to face her. I didn't do anything special. You did everything special. Her voice was soft, fierce. You saved my son. You made me laugh. You made me feel like maybe I'm more than just the Mafia queen. Maybe I'm allowed to be human, to be happy, to be loved. Zarya, I love you, she said. The words hung in the air between them. Minjae's heart stopped, started again, raced. You don't have to say it back, Zarya added quickly. I just needed you to know. I love you too, Minjae said. Her eyes widened. I've loved you since you stood in front of those men and told them I belong to you, he continued. I've loved you watching you with Kian. I've loved you trying to be better. I've loved you even when I was terrified of you. I love you. Zarya's breath shuddered out. We're a mess, she whispered. Yeah, this won't be easy. I know. People will judge us, question us, try to tear us apart. Let them, she laughed, wet and shaky. You're either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both. Definitely both. Minjae cupped her face gently. Can I kiss you? You're asking permission from a woman who holds a gun daily? Yes. Her smile was radiant. Then yes, please. He kissed her softly, carefully, like she was something precious, and she was. When they pulled apart, Zarya rested her forehead against his. What happens now? She asked. Now we figure it out, one day at a time. Just like that. Just like that. She pulled back slightly. I want to do this right. I want to give you a real relationship. Dates, dinners, normal things. We can do that. And I want to give Kian stability, a real family. We already are a family, Minjae said. We've been one since the day I threw myself in front of him. Zarya's eyes filled. You really believe that? I know it. She kissed him again. Deeper this time, with promise. When they finally broke apart, Minjae said, Your world tried to kill me multiple times. I know, I'm sorry. But I'd do it all again. For this, for you, for Kian, for us. That's the most motivational and deeply stupid thing I've ever heard, Zarya said, laughing through tears. I contain multitudes. Apparently. They stood together, looking out at the city. Zarya's hand found his, their fingers intertwined. We're going to make this work, she said. It wasn't a question. We are, Minjai agreed, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I never thought I'd have this. Peace, love, hope. You deserve it. We all do. 6 months later. The tea room was small and warm. Dim sum baskets steamed on the table. Kian sat between Minjai and Zaria, using chopsticks with intense concentration. He managed to grab a dumpling, grinned triumphantly, and plopped it on his plate. I did it, he announced. You're getting so good, Minjai said proudly. Across the table, Minjai's mother smiled. She'd flown in from Houston for the weekend. She and Zaria had spent the morning talking about life, about family, about the strange paths that bring people together. Your mother raised a good man, Zaria had told her earlier. Minjai's mother had replied, and you're raising a beautiful son. Now, watching them all together, Minjai felt something settle in his chest. This is home, not a place, not a building, just these people, this love. Kian tugged on his sleeve. Minjai, are you coming to my school thing next week? Wouldn't miss it. And Mommy? Zaria nodded. I'll be there. Kian beamed. Then, innocently, he asked, Are you going to get married? Minjai choked on his tea. Zaria's eyes went wide. Minjai's mother tried not to laugh. Kian, baby, that's... Zaria started. What? The boy asked. You love each other. That's what people do when they love each other, right? Minjai looked at Zaria. Her cheeks were flushed. Her eyes were bright. He's got a point, Minjai said softly. Are you seriously proposing via a 5-year-old? Zaria asked. I'm not proposing, I'm just agreeing with the kid's logic. That's basically proposing. Is it? Yes. They stared at each other. Kian looked between them. So, is that a yes? Minjai's mother cleared her throat. Maybe we should give them a minute, sweetheart. But I want to know, Zaria laughed, full and genuine. She reached across the table and took Minjai's hand. Ask me properly, she said. Later, when there's not an audience. Deal, Minjai said, grinning. But for the record, Zaria's voice softened. The answer's already yes. Minjai's heart soared. Kian cheered. Minjai's mother wiped her eyes, and Zaria, the queen who'd ruled through fear and power, smiled like a woman who'd finally found something worth more than an empire. Love, family, home. Later that night, after Kian was asleep and Minjai's mother had retired to the guest room, Minjai and Zaria stood in the garden under the stars. This is real, right? Minjai asked. I didn't imagine it. It's real, Zaria said. Terrifyingly, wonderfully real. I keep thinking I'll wake up back in my old apartment. You won't. You're stuck with us now. Good. She turned to face him. I never thought I'd be here, happy, hopeful, planning a future that doesn't involve violence. You've built something incredible, Minjai said. The youth center, the reform initiatives. You're changing lives. We're changing lives, she corrected. I couldn't do it without you. You could, but I don't want to. She stepped closer. I want you next to me, always, in every decision, every challenge, every joy. Minjai pulled a small box from his pocket. Zaria's breath caught. I said I'd ask properly, he said, so here goes. He dropped to one knee. Zaria Coleman, you're fierce and brilliant and terrifying and beautiful. You've given me a family, a purpose, a home. You've shown me that people can change. That love is stronger than fear. That choosing kindness isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing a person can do. His voice shook. I want to spend my life with you and Kian. I want to help you build this new world. I want to be there for every triumph and every setback. I want to love you, all of you, for as long as you'll have me. He opened the box. Inside was a simple silver band. Will you marry me? Zaria was crying, smiling, radiant. Yes, she whispered. Yes, 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring on her finger. She pulled him up and kissed him, deep and sweet and full of promise. When they broke apart, she laughed. How did you afford this? I've been saving, and your mother-in-law helped. You talked to my future mother-in-law before asking me. I wanted her blessing. Zaria's eyes filled again. You're going to make me cry forever, aren't you? That's the plan. She kissed him again. I love you, Park Min-jae. I love you, Zaria Coleman, soon to be Park. Soon to be Coleman Park, she corrected. We're equals, remember? Equals, he agreed. They stood together in the moonlight, holding each other, planning a future that had once seemed impossible. Inside, through the window, Kian's nightlight glowed softly. A child saved, a woman transformed, a man who chose love over safety. A family born from chaos and violence, now rooted in something gentler, something true. Somewhere in the city, the Coleman Empire continued its work, now focused on protection, reform, and justice. The old ways were fading, the new ones were taking root. It wouldn't be perfect. There would be setbacks, struggles, days when the past tried to drag them back. But they would face it together, Min-jae and Zaria, Kian and family, love and commitment. The Mafia queen and the delivery driver who stole her heart. And as they stood beneath the stars, planning their future, one thing was certain. They had chosen each other. And that choice had changed everything. Sometimes the most inspirational stories are the ones that remind us love doesn't erase our past. It gives us the courage to build a better future. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more romance stories that celebrate dignity, healing, and happily ever afters. And tell us in the comments, what would you do for the people you love? We'll see you in the next story. Until then, keep believing in second chances.